Hello and Happy New Year. Welcome to the Retail Week, our look back at the big talking points of the last week and our first of 2018. The trading update season's already underway and performance is already polarising. Santa visited Fashion Group Next, but Debenhams was left a piece of coal at the end of the golden quarter. So today we'll be looking at who we think may be the winners of Christmas 2017 and who might have struggled a bit. I'm George MacDonald, Executive Editor of Retail Week. I'm joined by Becky Waller-Davis, our Fashion and Department Stores Correspondent, and Luke Tugby, our Head of Content. Becky, let's start with you. Who is going to be a winner this year, do you think, and who do you think may have struggled a bit?
I mean, on the winners, I think I'm going to plump for the obvious choice. It's going to be the e-tailers. I'd say especially Boohoo. They're doing so incredibly well, and it seems like their run of luck will never end at the moment. I'll be really interested to see how Quiz does as well. They're really interesting. I visited them just before Christmas, and so I'll just be personally interested to see how they do. They're really big on occasion wear, and obviously they floated last year, so I'd expect them to be really strong. I would love for M&S to do well, personally. I think they had a really strong Christmas campaign and they resisted discounting. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, especially with Archie Norman and Steve Rowe now both on board.
And who's going to be among the laggards, do you think?
I think you've got more of a choice there, haven't you? I would say New Look. They've had a real fall from grace. Obviously, they're trying to kind of pick things up, but they know that things on the product side aren't going to turn around for, at least until summer, if not kind of autumn, winter next year. So I think they will have done really poorly. And then obviously, I mean, we've had a profit warning from Debenhams, and House of Fraser as well is just floundering. So I'd pick Hoff, I think, too.
Okay, yeah, some interesting points. I think, we've seen also on the online front the importance it played in Next's performance. A lot will be riding on Quiz's debut update. Yeah. Luke, who do you have on your winners and losers list?
Well, I think Aldi were one of the first grocers to report this week, and they said they haven't given a like-for-like figure, but total sales were up 15%, and I think that's quite a high bar to set for anyone to try and jump over. They talked in particular about their specially selected premium range. Sales there were up over 30%. I think that's what both discounters, to be fair, have done amazingly well over the past 2 years or 3 years. They know there's this trend of trading up. People want to go to M&S or Waitrose or Sainsbury's at Christmas. And they've basically said, you don't have to go there anymore. We can give you lobster, we can give you this amazing turkey or steak or whatever you might be eating. I think Tesco will have a good year. I think they'll probably run them close, but I think like-for-likes will probably be up around 2% for that core Christmas period. How much of that is down to promotional activity, I don't know, and there could be a knock-on impact there in terms of their overall margin target for the group. I think Ocado will do pretty well too. I spoke to Duncan Tatton-Brown, their CFO, before Christmas. He said they would completely chock-a-block with orders for that Christmas period. And again, it comes back to that element of people, if they do want to trade up, if they do want the convenience of having everything delivered to their front door rather than going out and braving a jam-packed supermarket on Christmas Eve, then there's that convenience there that I think a lot of people find particularly attractive ahead of Christmas.
Yeah, and who do you think may struggle?
Do you know what, as a wider group, I fear a little bit for Sainsbury's. I think because of the Argos integration now, and we've spoken about Debenhams, I think Sainsbury's is operating a bit more like a department store business now with all the concession partners it's got in its stores. So I think they could fall foul to a few of the factors that have impacted Debenhams maybe over the Christmas period.
Right. Well, Argos have done quite well, haven't they, done under Sainsbury's ownership? In fact, haven't they outshone the core grocery business?
They have done, but as we know, Argos makes all of its profit pretty much in the final quarter of a calendar year when everyone shops for toys, and I'm not quite sure in the current climate with people maybe cutting back and budgeting a bit more whether Argos will rake in quite as much as it's maybe used to.
Right.
Having said all of that, I think Sainsbury's core grocery offer has been pretty good this year. I accused them of taking their eye off the ball a little bit last year, particularly in the Taste the Difference range, but it was a Sainsbury's Christmas at the Tugby household, and their stuff was good, I've got to say, but I just worry that maybe Argos could maybe drag them down slightly.
Well, Mike Coop will be pleased to hear that. So let's just have a little think. Is there anything any bigger picture that can be drawn about what the characteristics of success are likely to have been over Christmas? I mean, you talked a bit about online. That seems to be quite consistent from what we've seen so far. But is there any other broader points that you would draw? You mentioned discounting, actually.
I would say, I mean, I felt as though retailers were kind of coming off the discounting drug a bit, but I don't know if some people have fallen off the wagon, just because, I mean, Debenhams seem to have really lost their nerve where that's concerned. I mean, Sergio was saying that they started discounting just to drive footfall because their sales were so poor, and that's where it's landed them with a profit warning.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think there's going to be, it won't just be a Debenhams issue that by any means. I was having a chat to a few people on Twitter yesterday, and particularly in gifting, I think Debenhams was looking at, but you went to M&S pre-Christmas and they were 50% on, you know, bathing products and aftershave and all this kind of stuff.
Was that part of its Christmas shop though, as opposed to just price cutting? Because I think they were resisting.
It wasn't 50% off at the start of December, put it that way, or not from what I'd seen. I know they were doing 3 for 2 around Black Friday and that kind of stuff, and suddenly the 2 days pre-Christmas, when, of course, I was still shopping, things were 50% off.
Right.
You go into Boots, go to Boots at the weekend, and all the 3 for 2 gift sets that they had leading up to Christmas are now 50% off, and there's shelves and shelves full of them because they've not been able to shift them. And you just wonder where this spend is going, whether it's going to people like B&M who are doing these similar products now.
Yeah, well, I think it is a really interesting point about the discounting, because I don't think price cutting is enough at all now. To go back, you talked about Aldi and how well they've done, and you know they also have that reputation for quality, and they've got those low prices all the year round, and that is so different from just panic price cutting in the hopes of saving Christmas, and then that price cutting doesn't save Christmas. Would it have been better, you think, for people to have taken the pain and kept the margin?
And that is to come back to Sainsbury's. They've obviously stripped out all their multi-buy promotions, so that could impact their numbers potentially in grocery, whereas for the likes of Tesco and Morrison's, who, yes, their like-for-likes might be stronger, but how much of their stuff is going to be sold through those kind of promotions? I
guess it just comes back to, I mean, we talk about it all the time, but having that really strong, unique proposition, because I mean, that's where discounting comes into play. It's just kind of a panicked reaction to your proposition not being unique enough in the first place. So I think that's always really important.
I wonder whether Aldi is the exception that proves the rule as well about online and how important that's going to be at Christmas. I'll go for my winner as ASOS. I think they've had a really, really good year, and I'm sure that'll have continued over Christmas. Great company, I think, and no sign of them having taken their foot off the pedal. And in the light of Debenhams, given some similarities of the fact you've got two companies both trying to change a lot and shifting in the direction of experience, etc., I'll go for House of Fraser as maybe not having had a vintage Christmas.
What do the department stores need to do then to make sure that trend doesn't carry on throughout 2018?
I mean, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? And I don't think they know themselves. I don't think they've really got any idea as to how to turn it around.
I think, despite Debenhams' profit warning, that the strategy is probably right. But in the case of Debenhams, and to be fair, House of Fraser, it's at a very early point. They're not even a year into this strategy. But intellectually, I buy it. But then it all does depend on execution, and that's where if you start just price cutting because you don't have faith in what otherwise, you know, you don't have faith that you're going to bring people through the door
Yeah.
unless you're cutting prices, shows that you know, they've got a long way to go. But they've got to keep faith. If they believe that experiential retail is the model, they need to press on with it. And things like joining the discounting frenzy aren't enhancing that long-term strategy. So that's probably a good point to draw things to a close. You can keep up with all the trading updates on our website, and there'll be lots of analysis of the big stories to come out of the Christmas reporting. Please share your views with us. You can comment on stories on the site, or you can engage with us on Twitter. Our handles are below. Look forward to joining you next week.